When you can't make it to City Hall or the school board meetings, local journalists from Duluth News-Tribune will be there to report the facts and get your questions answered. Local news works for you. Stay up to date at DuluthNewsTribune.com.
Hello, Northlanders. It's Friday, June 14th. I'm Wyatt Buckner with the Duluth News-Tribune Minute, presented by Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union.
The average MPECU member saves over $785 a year in better rates and lower fees. And with MPECU, every ATM is your ATM. With their free checking program, you get ATM fee reimbursements at any ATM anywhere in the U.S. Check out Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union services online at mpecu.com or visit their offices in downtown Duluth, Arrowhead Road, or Miller Trunk Highway.
It's Friday, and if you're looking for some fun things to do this weekend, Duluth News-Tribune arts and entertainment reporter Jay Gabler has some options in this week's Best Bets.
There's an interesting Facebook post this week from Sarah Lawrence, who's one of the leaders of Lyric Opera of the North, pointing out that Duluthians and people visiting Duluth may need to change a long-standing habit when it comes to ticket buying, that people assume, oh, a show is happening in Duluth, I can buy a ticket at the last minute. And she says, I'm now talking to a lot of patrons who unfortunately are frustrated because they go to buy a ticket at the last minute and find that a show is sold out. She said, I think we need to change our habits and start buying tickets a little bit more in advance and get into that habit, because the good news, folks, is that, and now this is coming from me, not Sarah, but the paraphrasing here, the good news is that a lot of performing arts events in Duluth are selling really well, to the point that it might actually not be possible to walk up and get a ticket. That may be the case with the current production by Lyric Opera of the North, their big opera this weekend, playing tonight, Friday, and then again on Sunday at UMD's Marshall Performing Arts Center. Not in obscurity, La Bohème by Puccini, one of the most famous works in the repertoire, dripping with rich melody and a cultural touchstone that inspired Rent, that is being produced this weekend at UMD by Lyric Opera of the North. Other things going on this weekend to know about: the Minnesota Quilt Show is in Duluth, and as it happens, a Duluth woman is being featured as the state's Quilter of the Year. Helen Smith Stone, by her own account, a Minnesota pioneer in long arm quilting, is the Quilter of the Year. She's teaching a beginner's class today, Friday. The show runs through Saturday at the Deck. That is the Minnesota Quilt Show. Then I want to shout out to an event that is happening. Well, this kind of event hasn't happened since before COVID lockdowns. Most things that had to take a hiatus during pandemic lockdowns have come back, even might have come back a couple of years ago, but some things are still kind of getting back on track. And if you've noticed that there has not been a Lincoln Park neighborhood summer event for a while, well, it's been, just about over 4 years. And so businesses in Duluth's Lincoln Park neighborhood are excited to bring back a summer festival tomorrow, Saturday, between 19th and 20th Avenues West. It's going to be a family-friendly event with live music and attractions, including a petting zoo. That's 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. tomorrow in Lincoln Park, right here in beautiful Duluth, Minnesota. For more on these and other best bets for the weekend, check out DuluthNewsTribune.com. I'm Jay Gabler.
Now here's today's headlines. Kicking off a national effort to court older voters, Jill Biden cast her husband as the only candidate for seniors this November. The First Lady, speaking to a crowd of more than 100 invited attendees at the Lincoln Park Senior Center on Thursday, drew sharp distinctions between the policies of the Biden administration and the former president he's expected to face in a rematch. Biden touted some of the administration's policies and priorities that most clearly impact seniors. Insulin is now capped at $35 a month. Medicare is able to negotiate drug prices directly with pharmaceutical companies, and the national uninsured rate has dropped to a record low. The Duluth stop was the second on a multi-day trip to launch Seniors for Biden-Harris, an attempt to galvanize an important voting bloc for the incumbent president. While Minnesota has reliably voted Democratic in presidential elections for decades, the state has drawn attention from candidates and their surrogates in recent cycles. Older citizens are also more likely to turn out to vote, and a March poll from Quinnipiac University showed Biden leading Trump nationally by 8 points among those 65 and older. Mary Bovee, executive director of AgeWell Arrowhead, said President Biden is fighting for affordable health care for seniors. She cited free vaccines for Medicare Part D beneficiaries and cheaper, over-the-counter hearing aids as other accomplishments for older residents. Biden didn't shy away from discussing her own husband's age. Already the oldest president to serve, he would be 86 by the end of his second term, a major talking point among his Republican critics. Biden's speech was interrupted twice by Israel-Hamas war protesters. About a dozen protesters also gathered outside the venue calling for an immediate ceasefire. There did not appear to be any Republican protests on site, but U.S. Representative Tom Tiffany of northwestern Wisconsin's 7th District blasted what he called a photo op in the face of the administration's, quote, war on American energy, end quote. Former St. Louis County Commissioner Frank Jewell noted that many issues remain for area seniors, including transportation, internet and technology, and financial resources. Jill Biden has visited the Twin Ports several times in the past and noted the administration's $1 billion grant that will soon allow for the replacement of the aging Blotnick Bridge between Duluth and Superior. The First Lady, who spoke for about 15 minutes, stayed long afterward to take photographs with those in the crowd. While overseeing a 30,000 square foot cannabis cultivation facility in Missouri, Sadie Whitebird was presented with the opportunity to help her tribe, the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, start its own cannabis company. Whitebird, a previous director of agricultural sciences at Missouri Made Marijuana, returned to Minnesota and started Whitebird Logistics, which is serving as a consultant to the Fond du Lac Band's forthcoming Fond du Lac Cannabis Corporation. The operation is expected to open sometime in 2024 and will grow, manufacture, and sell medical and adult use cannabis products including flower, edibles, and concentrates, according to the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. When Minnesota legalized recreational cannabis in 2023, it gave tribal nations the sole authority to operate and regulate cannabis businesses located on their lands. Because tribal nations are not subject to state regulations, tribal nations have the opportunity to get a head start on the cannabis industry while other cannabis operations navigate regulatory barriers. The Fond du Lac Band, which declined to comment on the story, is one of several Minnesota tribal nations pursuing cannabis operations. However, the Fond du Lac Cannabis Corporation aims to be comprehensive by providing educational opportunities, jobs, infrastructure, and internal quality control. The multi-pronged approach involves a job training partnership with the Fond du Lac Tribal and Community College, a cultivation and manufacturing facility in Brookston, and a dispensary located off Minnesota Highway 210. The college expects the 18,000 square foot cultivation and manufacturing facility to produce 120 to 240 pounds of cannabis flower monthly and approximately 15,000 edible and concentrate products. The facility will require a minimum of 34 full-time employees with wages ranging from $16 to $18 per hour, according to the Department of Employment and Economic Development. To fill those positions, the Fond du Lac Cannabis Corporation will partner with the college to create a program to certify students to work in the cannabis industry. Though much of the program is still in the preliminary stages, the college expects courses may include teaching agricultural practices, packaging, quality control, information technology, and security. Now here's a look at your forecast, brought to you by the Superior Telegram's history podcast, Archive Dive.
Weather for the Duluth area today. Looking at a pleasant afternoon with mostly sunny skies, light winds, and highs around 70 degrees. We'll see clouds work their way in overnight tonight with lows in the low 50s. And then for Saturday, overcast skies with showers in the afternoon and evening. High temperatures in the low 70s, warming up into the mid 70s by Sunday afternoon.
Thank you to Archive Dive for their support. The monthly history podcast, hosted by Superior Telegram reporter Maria Lockwood, dips into the archives of historic events, people, and places around Superior and Douglas County. A new episode titled The Rediscovery of Dick Bong's Marge Plane is now available at superiortelegram.com or wherever you also get this podcast. Reporting for today's episode was done by Jay Gabler, Tom Olson, and Macklin Caruso. Thank you for listening to Duluth News Tribune Minute. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday.